Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe. WWE put on the first ever women's match in the progressive country of Saudi Arabia. My God, it's so progressive. Cain Velasquez gets beaten by Brock Lesnar in just 2 minutes. And finally, Bray Wyatt's The Fiend is the WWE Universal Champion. I'm Oli Davis, and this is WWE Crown Jewel 2019. In about 4 minutes. The pre-show opened with a 20-man battle royal built entirely around Eric Rowan and Luke Harper looking longingly at each other, then beating someone up, to then go back looking longingly at each other for a bit longer. Humberto Carrillo managed to win by chucking them both over the top rope, and R-Truth also got his 24/7 title back, which he'd lose to Samir Singh later on. After delivering an amount of pyro that can only be described as "our country has too much money," the show opened on Brock Lesnar versus Cain Velasquez. The initial MMA action was tense, with clinches in the corner and range-testing strikes. It seemed like the two were about to enter Goldberg versus Brock mode when Velasquez suddenly knocked Lesnar down with a kick to the head. But once in the mount position, Lesnar grabbed Cain's arm and made him tap in the Kimura. In 2 minutes, without a single wrestling move, no F5, no suplexes, no real actual bumps, Brock made Velasquez tap. Based on this start, I think it's going to be a long 3-year WWE deal for Cain. The post-match angle saw the actual feud in all this continue. SmackDown's Brock Lesnar versus Raw's Rey Mysterio. Brand split, LOL. Rey attacked Brock with a chair, which Brock then F5'd Velasquez on because there was still a foot sticking out of all that ground he's been buried under. And Mysterio sent Lesnar running. It's not that bad, Cain. 2 minutes is a lot longer than Kofi Kingston lasted, who, for the second time in 6 days, took the pin for the New Day. How dare you get organically over with your fan base and we decide to push you? Bobby Roode and Dolph Ziggler beat Lucha House Party and Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder to be put away by Heavy Machinery, who were beaten by the New Day, who got a huge reaction from the live crowd, along with the B-Team and the Revival, but the OC beat them and the Viking Raiders to win the World Cup to determine the best tag team in the world. The crowd hardly cared about this match and could often be seen on their phones. The complete opposite was true for Mansoor, though. It's baffling why WWE don't use him more on TV, as he's got fantastic charisma, and he, with Cesaro's help, put on a strong, athletic, pay-per-view caliber match. His win with a moonsault got the loudest and most genuine pop of the night, which continued for his emotional in-ring promo. I can't wait to see him again in 6 months' time at the next Saudi show. Mansoor then somehow got from the ring to a backstage promo with Byron Saxton. Oh right, yeah, it's Seth Rollins. He said he's going to burn it down, which is actually quite dangerous in a country so rich with oil. Tyson Fury might as well have been a hometown boy too during his amazing entrance, swaggering down to the ring to the Isley Brothers' "It's Your Thing" in full Saudi getup, as Michael Cole yelled, "Vintage Fury!" It's his debut, Michael Cole. There's no way it can be vintage yet. Unfortunately, Fury's charisma didn't transition into the actual wrestling part of the match, where he botched numerous basic sequences, couldn't run the ropes, or even do a pin. It's not his fault. He's not a wrestler, and Strowman isn't the sort of ring general who can make him look good either. The sloppy match was followed up by a flat finish, Braun getting knocked out off the apron, and the referee counted him out. Strowman power slammed Fury afterwards, so nobody got over. Even though it was pretty good in the ring, AJ Styles retaining against Humberto Carrillo never connected with the crowd beyond AJ's entrance, possibly because we'd seen Styles beat Humberto definitively just 3 days prior. Next up came the most historic women's match in history to determine the World Cup for the most historic women's match in the world. Not my words, but undoubtedly what we have to look forward to on WWE programming for the next several hundred years. And the annoying thing is, they're not wrong. Natalya and Lacey Evans wrestled a match in Saudi Arabia, the first women ever to do so. And seeing girls beam with excitement at ringside really was quite rousing. So then why did the whole experience make me feel so uncomfortable? From the water bottle being thrown at Natalya during her entrance, to the overly stagey in-ring action, I didn't enjoy watching this match. Natty won with the sharpshooter. At least Team Hogan versus Team Flair was unfiltered house show levels of fun. fun, even if Ricochet was dressed like a bowling shoe. Oddly, considering how stupid his Raw storyline has been, Rusev's fiery showdown was one of the highlights of the match, and the chaotic end sequence of all the moves was incredibly fun as Roman Reigns speared for the win. And then we got the main event of Seth Rollins versus The Fiend, who did actually do his entrance with the severed head lantern, which isn't the best optics in a country whose government dismembered a Washington Post journalist just a year ago. And speaking of bad optics, WWE's production team flooded the ring in red light again, which I feel takes away the drama rather than enhancing it. Unfortunately, I couldn't really enjoy this match as it was happening because the awful Hell in a Cell finish was too fresh in my mind, and I was scared of all the ways WWE could screw it up again. But then after The Fiend was thrown off the stage into the technical area of flames and pyro, and Wyatt rose from the dead to mandible claw a blinded Rollins, and he hit a sister Abigail for the win, meaning The Fiend became the Universal Champion on Halloween. It's such perfect timing. Maybe he really should have lost at Hell in a Cell. Oh no, wait, that was still really bad. That's WWE Crown Jewel 2019 in about 4 minutes. Vote in the poll above my head to give your rating, where you can choose from Best of Both Worlds, Great Review, Thumbs in the Middle, Mepper View, and Worst of Both Worlds. A lot of people are saying this is the best Saudi show so far, which it might be, but that's a very low bar. I found the pay-per-view either pretty tedious with little crowd noise or frustrating with the Lesnar win and Fury finish, which means Crown Jewel 2019 is a Mepper View. But on the surface level, there are some very strong positives. WWE put on the first ever women's wrestling match in Saudi Arabia, and The Fiend is finally the Universal Champion, which sets up an interesting landscape with SmackDown having both top titles heading into Survivor Series. Watch Laurie's review of Crown Jewel's highlights and lowlights by clicking the video on the right, and the first ever AEW Tag Champions have been crowned. Find out what happened on this week's Dynamite by clicking the video below that. I've been Oli Davis, and that was wrestling.